The night he walked away, the rain fell as if the sky itself had given up on her, each drop echoing the silent collapse of everything she had ever believed in. She stood there, soaked, trembling, and completely alone, not just in the empty street, but in a world that had suddenly turned its back on her. He didn't look back. Not once. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying and powerful. When you have nothing left to lose, you become someone the world has never seen before. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of the human spirit, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them the most. Her name was Ariba, and just hours before that night, she had still believed in forever. She had believed in loyalty, in promises whispered late at night, in the quiet comfort of having someone by her side. But life has a strange way of revealing truth in the harshest moments. And for Ariba, truth came in the form of abandonment. She wasn't always like this. There was a time when her laughter filled rooms, when her dreams were bigger than her fears, when she walked with a quiet confidence that made people believe in her. But love had softened her, had made her vulnerable in ways she never expected. She gave everything, her time, her trust, her future, to a man who saw her as temporary. When he left her, he didn't just take his presence away. He took her stability, her sense of worth, and the fragile life they had built together. She had sacrificed her career for him, moved cities, distanced herself from family, all in the name of love. And now, with nothing but a small bag and a heart full of shattered pieces, she stood in the middle of nowhere. The days that followed were cruel. Not in loud, dramatic ways, but in quiet, suffocating ones. She struggled to find a place to stay, moving between cheap rooms that barely felt like shelter. She skipped meals, not because she wanted to, but because survival demanded sacrifice. There were nights she cried herself to sleep, clutching the pillow as if it could somehow replace the warmth she had lost. But something inside her refused to die. It wasn't strength at first. It wasn't courage. It was something smaller, almost invisible, a tiny voice that whispered, "Keep going." And sometimes, that's all a person needs. She started small. Cleaning tables at a roadside cafe. It wasn't glamorous, and it barely paid enough, but it gave her something she desperately needed, purpose. Every morning, she woke up before sunrise, tied her hair back, and stepped into a world that didn't care about her pain. And strangely, that helped. Because the world didn't stop for her suffering. And slowly, she learned not to stop either. Weeks turned into months, and Ariba began to rebuild herself, piece by fragile piece. She learned new skills, took online courses when she could afford internet access, and spent nights studying instead of crying. She discovered a version of herself that she had forgotten, a version that was capable, determined, and quietly unstoppable. There were setbacks, of course. Days when exhaustion won. Nights when loneliness returned like an uninvited guest. Moments when she questioned everything. But she didn't go back. She didn't look for him. She didn't beg for closure. Because deep down, she had started to understand something important. Closure isn't something you receive. It's something you create. Meanwhile, far away from her silent transformation, he was living a very different life. His name was Zion, and at first, leaving her felt like freedom. No responsibilities, no emotional weight, no expectations. He convinced himself he had done the right thing. That she was holding him back. That he deserved something better. But life has a way of balancing things. The same confidence that once defined him slowly turned into arrogance. The same charm that attracted people began to feel empty. His choices, once exciting, started leading him into situations he couldn't control. Business decisions went wrong. Trust in the wrong people cost him dearly. And the life he thought he was building started to crumble, just as hers once had. The difference was, he wasn't prepared for it. Where Ariba had learned to rise from nothing, Zion had never known what it meant to truly fall. And when he did, it hit him harder than he expected. Loss came quickly. Money disappeared. Opportunities vanished. The people who once surrounded him slowly faded away, leaving behind a silence that felt unfamiliar and uncomfortable. For the first time, he experienced what it meant to be alone, not by choice, but by consequence. And in that silence, memories began to surface. Her laughter. Her patience. The way she believed in him even when he didn't deserve it. Regret is a heavy thing. It doesn't shout. It whispers, constantly, reminding you of what you lost and why. Back in her small world, Ariba had grown stronger than she ever imagined. The cafe job led to better opportunities. Her dedication caught the attention of someone who saw potential where others saw struggle. She was offered a chance, small, but significant. She didn't waste it. She worked harder than ever, learning, improving, evolving. Her confidence returned, not in loud declarations, but in quiet certainty. She no longer needed validation. She had built something within herself that no one could take away. Years passed, and the girl who once stood in the rain with nothing had become someone unrecognizable to her past. Not because she was perfect, but because she was resilient. And then, one day, fate decided to bring their worlds back together. It wasn't dramatic. No grand music, no slow-motion moment. Just a simple encounter in a place neither of them expected. He saw her first. And for a moment, he wasn't sure it was real. She looked different, not just in appearance, but in presence. There was a calmness in her eyes, a strength in her posture, a quiet power that made him realize something instantly. She didn't need him anymore. For Ariba, seeing him didn't bring pain. It didn't reopen wounds. It simply reminded her of how far she had come. They didn't need words. Sometimes, silence says everything. He wanted to apologize. To explain. To somehow undo the past. But he understood, perhaps for the first time, that some actions don't come with second chances. Because while he was part of her story, he was no longer part of her life. That moment changed him. Not in an instant, magical way, but in a slow, painful, necessary way. He began to reflect, to understand, to grow. Not for her. But because losing her had shown him the kind of person he had been. And the kind of person he needed to become. Ariba, on the other hand, continued forward. Not because she had forgotten the past, but because she had made peace with it. Her journey wasn't about proving him wrong. It was about proving herself right. That she was enough. That she always had been. And that sometimes, the worst moments in life are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of who you are meant to become. Before this story ends, take a moment and tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Which country is listening to this story right now? If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of your own struggles or gave you hope in a difficult moment, don't forget to like, share, and comment. Your support helps keep these stories alive and reaching people who need them. Because somewhere out there, someone is standing in the rain right now. And they need to know that this isn't the end. It's just the beginning.